Hi, I'm AJ. Welcome to the Awaken Revolution. This video is going to be a discussion targeted at people who were supporters of Elizabeth Warren. And this message is going to be very straight to the point. You guys are, in some ways, progressive politically, or at least you had to be if you were attracted to Elizabeth Warren. That's what I would trust to be the facts. And that being said, the Democratic primary process has now come down to a two-person race between Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. The moderate establishment Democratic DNC side has sided with Joe Biden for the most part, as many candidates have dropped out and gone forward to endorse Joe Biden. Meanwhile, Bernie Sanders has large grassroots support from the people. And unfortunately, Super Tuesday was not the best time for Sanders supporters. We were expecting to kind of just slide in and move our way on to the top, but it seems like this is going to be a fight. Now, because Elizabeth Warren dropped out of the race, as you know, as we all know, many people on both sides are vying for her to support their candidate. Even if you go on Twitter, Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden, the day that she dropped out, put out tweets, edifying Elizabeth Warren and talking about how great she was. It's very obvious what's going on. She is getting offers from both sides to get her support because they know that if she supports them, then her followers will go with her. But there's a big problem with that. We need to understand something about voters. You are people, human beings with agency who can make choices on their own. Let me put it this way. Even if Elizabeth Warren endorses Joe Biden, which is something I would hate to see, you should not follow suit. You should not just do something because she says do it. You know? If you guys are real progressives, you had to have come to this idea from your own examination of the power structures in our society and how they have to change. I know that you are smart enough to know that just because Elizabeth Warren endorses Joe Biden doesn't mean that he's automatically your candidate. You decided to support Elizabeth Warren, and you can decide to take that support elsewhere if need be. I'm just asking you, if you are a real progressive, why not choose the most progressive person in the race? Obviously, it would make sense for Elizabeth Warren to support Bernie. But it doesn't really sound like that might happen. She might just sit things out. She might support Biden, which is just the worst case scenario, because then the cards are all stacked against the progressive vote. We just don't know what's going to happen. So my message to you is that it shouldn't matter what Elizabeth Warren does. She's not your king, she's not your leader, she's just a candidate for the Democratic presidential primary that you just so happen to support. There is no reason why her endorsing Joe Biden should force you to have to vote for him. Especially when it was Elizabeth Warren supporters who were vocally criticizing Joe Biden violently and viciously. In many ways, Warren supporters were viciously attacking Joe Biden in ways that shocked me as a Bernie supporter, you know? It's true, and that's because you guys are progressives, and you know that Joe Biden, first of all, will not beat Donald Trump, and secondly, is not what this country needs. He doesn't excite people. No one is passionate about Joe Biden. Nobody is excited for Joe Biden. People are just siding with him because they guess that that's the thing that they should do. They're siding with him because they know that he was on the ticket with Obama and they like Obama. You know, that's kind of the way it goes, you know? It shouldn't matter what Obama says. You have agency. You have your own life and your own existence. You have your own desires and your own needs. And you know that if you were in support of Elizabeth Warren by policy, then you, as a progressive, would want to side with Bernie because she and him have essentially the same platform in many ways. If you care about Medicare for all, you need to vote Bernie. You need to support Bernie. If you care about the student debt crisis being addressed, you need to support Bernie. If you care about the drug war being ended, being addressed and fought against, then you need to support Bernie. There really is no reason for somebody who was originally an Elizabeth Warren supporter to jump to Joe Biden, the absolute opposite in most ways. In many ways, throughout Joe Biden's campaign and in debates, he stood in direct opposition to everything Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders promoted. He was essentially on the other side saying, nah, we're not doing that, nah, we're not doing that. So I implore you, I ask you to look inside of yourself and ask yourself if you really need Elizabeth Warren to tell you what to do as a voter. No. You came to her of your own volition, just like I came to Bernie of my own volition. I was honestly trepidatious of Bernie at first, back when I was, more on the center, but I've moved further left as time has gone on. And now that I've become more of a progressive, I know that my vote has to go with somebody who is going to promote progressive values and progressive policy. And if you are a real progressive, there is no real choices here. It's very obvious which one you would go with. You know what choice makes the most sense for you. But I'm not going to judge from my own perspective. I'm simply going to ask you to look inside of yourself, to think to yourself, what would best represent my needs, desires, and progressive values? What direction do I believe this country needs to go into, and who do I truly believe is going to beat Donald Trump? Somebody with a spine and a strong political career, whose mind is strong, whose spirit is on fire, who has strong grassroots support and people who are excited about him, people who scream his name and chant him, people who are just virulent, just full of a fire to ready to go and campaign for him, somebody who's inspired the people to go for him, or somebody who people just kind of default to because, I don't know, I guess so, Somebody who has been called Sleepy Joe, somebody who has been made fun of endlessly for mental lapses, somebody who, let's just be honest, has dementia. I know you would not pick Joe Biden over Elizabeth Warren, so why would you pick Joe Biden over Bernie Sanders? So that's the point of this video. I want you to look inside of yourself, look over the political landscape, and then ask yourself who better represents your values. I have an idea of who it is if you are a real progressive, but I want you to make that decision for yourself. Not Elizabeth Warren, not anybody else, not even me. I want you to think for yourself. I want you to vote by your conscience, by what you believe is best, and the direction that you believe things should go into. Because you have the power as a voter and as an American citizen, as a Democrat, as whatever it is that you are right now, to make real change. And all I ask you to do is ask yourself, what kind of change do you think we need? Do you think a return to decency, massive air quotes, is really the thing that's going to excite people and send them to the polls? Or do you think a powerful message about Medicare for all, about a living wage, about student debt being canceled, about marijuana being legalized, about us addressing the broken infrastructure in our country, a true populist message coming from the left? I think you already know the answer, but again, I'm going to give you the agency. I just had to plead my case. So that's it. Thank you for listening. Make sure you subscribe and, stay up to date with me. We're going to join up with the Awaken Revolution. We're going to keep standing up for ourselves, keep promoting good things, keep edifying each other, and keep building each other up instead of tearing each other down. So that's it. Thanks for watching. You have a good one.